Are you an indie podcast or content creator looking to reach a wider audience? Look no further. Introducing Podcastic, the ultimate podcast network designed exclusively for indie creators like you. At Podcastic, we believe in the power of unique voices and fresh perspectives. We're here to amplify your passion and creativity, connecting you with the growing community of engaged listeners who crave original content. Podcastic is more than just a platform. It's a support system built for indie podcasters, offering a range of resources to help you succeed. From tailored promotional campaigns to professional production assistance, we're here to help you shine. Our intuitive platform makes it easy for you to be seen and heard. We do all the heavy lifting for you. You just show up and create. Plus, with our advanced analytics, you'll gain valuable insights into your audience's preferences, allowing you to refine your content and grow your fan base. Ignite your passion, expand your reach, and thrive with podcasting. Visit our website at www.podcasticlife.com to get started. Podcasting, the home for indie podcasts and content creators.
The content you're about to hear is a part of a paid programming segment. The views, opinions, and statements expressed belong solely to the sponsor and do not reflect those of Podcastic or its host. This segment is for informational and promotional purposes only and should not be considered as advice or endorsement. Listener discretion is advised.
Good day, good people. Welcome to another purpose-filled episode of Lessons for the Journey, produced by Podcastic Studios and Your Inspired Journey, live here every Friday at 12 noon on Facebook and YouTube. I am your host, Dr. Hetheru, and I am joined in the studio today by our co-host, motivational healer, Ma'at Seba. And so I thank you for being here with us today. This is a topic that I believe is going to be helpful to a lot of women who are in the midst of either starting relationships, have a desire to start a relationship, and really want to understand what are some of the dynamics that are working for and with you in this season. And so every episode, we explore the realignment of women's wellness, spiritual insights, healthy relationships, and real life lesson journey. Every conversation is designed to help you understand your why, heal your emotional patterns, and grow in spiritual maturity so that you can move differently in this next chapter life. If you are seeking healing, empowerment, clarity, this podcast is for you. So we challenge you to take the information that resonates with you, take that information and use what you can now, put a pin in the rest of it for later. So we encourage you to do that by using your tools. First thing we ask you to do is to hydrate. Make sure you have water because water will help you to process new information and it will take you outside of the survival mode thinking because of dehydration. Then second, we ask you to get your journal and your pen so that you can take notes or record this information so that you'll have it at a later time to refer back to and reflect. So as we start this process, we encourage you to join us in connecting with our inner guidance. And by doing that, what we do is we ask everybody in the studio who's with us, and we have Lexi on the set as our engineer today, who will pull a card, and we reflect on the card and the meaning of the card, and then we share that with you. We want you to also think about the question for yourself, answer the question for yourself so that you can tap into your inner guidance as we all are for this journey for today. And so I had requested the me, myself, and I card. So I'm gonna go to the bottom of the bag today and pull my card. And I'm gonna pass it over to Lexi so she can pull her card. And I'm going to switch it back to our sister so she can pull her card. And while I am organizing my way and my thoughts around my card, I want you to take down our call-in number. Our number is 560-0658. Again, that's 810-560-0658. Okay. My card says, if you could spend a weekend with 3 famous people from the present or from the past, who would it be and why? Ooh. Okay, well, I had 3 pop right in my head. So I think one of the people I would want to talk to is I would like to have a conversation with Christ. That would be good. The second person I would like to have a conversation with, and I'll explain in a minute, is Ralph Waldo Emerson. And then the third person I would love to spend time with is Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. And so all of them are for different reasons and different points in lifetime. So of course, Christ for me, it would be the obvious conversation of where do we go from here? Like, we know where we've been, where are we going from here, and what does that look like? For Ralph Waldo Emerson, he is probably one of my favorite philosophers. He's one of the philosophers I started reading early in my life, like probably at 7. But his insights and his thoughts are just so far from the time that he was living. I would like to have a conversation about what life looks like now versus what it looked like then, and if he still felt the same way about his philosophies. And then lastly, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she is just a phenomenon of herself. But her insights from her perspective working with men and within our culture, and the projections that she made around our culture that are very much present now in our present day and our understanding. How does she see a focus on shifting to more solutions? We understand and recognize what those problems are because we're living them. But now, what are some of the active step-by-step solutions that she might add? So those are my 3, and that's my why. Lexi.
Mine says, are you responsible with your money and spending and saving habits? I would say for the most part, yes. Until I have too much money or like extra money, and then I just go.
Okay. If you heard her question was, are you responsible with your money and spending and saving habits, or why or why not? And she said that she was responsible up until the point where she has access, and then she goes a little bit wild, right? All right. And Ma'at, what does your card say?
Okay, mine says, are your quote-unquote friends loving and supportive of you, or are they users and take advantage of your quote-unquote friendship?
Ooh.
So, my friends are loving and supportive of me. They don't use me and they don't take advantage of me because they're my friends. The other people would be called associates. So I think we need to be clear on what a friend is, and be clear when you defined on what a friend is. For me, if you're friend status, then you would treat me the same way that I would treat you. If you're an associate, then I don't expect anything from you. I expect that you could support me, and I could expect that you would take advantage of me. So that's just where I place you, either friend or you're an associate.
Wow. Sounds very practical. And it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Okay. So as we lift up this topic for today, I really want you to take some deep breaths, because as we talk about relationship awareness, I am in the midst of and have been sharing information around navigating men for some time now. And you're going to see over in this next season, because it's such, especially as we move into the spring and the summer, it is the time of rebirth. It is the time of new beginnings. And so this navigating men part of our journey is going to really be helpful for a lot of women our sisters that are looking for healthy relationships and looking to build a future with a companion. And this answers the question, where are all the good men? And so I have not just me, but along with some of the guests that we're going to talk to over the next couple of weeks, we are going to really look at that dynamic, because they are there. They are in progress just like we are. And so let's get started with this conversation. So it is relationship awareness, how we can confuse attention with intention. That's attention with intention. And so this is one of, as we talk about this, and you'll have a chance to get deeper insight, and I hope it resonates for you, that as we look at relationship and relationship awareness, and we look at the difference between these two terms and how we see them as the same. And so the reflection is women are constantly raising the question, asking, where are all the good men? It's funny because the men are asking the same question about the women. There is a broken trust between both. But from the onset, what both men and women may have misunderstood is that attention and intention are two different things. It seems like such a subtle difference at first. As I reflect more deeply, this tends to be a giving and receiving phenomenon. Attention seems to be a temporary interest, and intention seems to be a long-term one. There is more to explore and unpack as we look deeper into this phenomenon. And so we have an opening question, but I want to give you the call-in number if you want to comment or call. The number is 810-560-0658. Again, that's 810-560-0658. All right, and so this is our opening question. What attributes tend to draw your attention to a man first? What attributes tend to draw you to a man first? Ma, do you have any thoughts on that as you look at your journey?
Well, I mean, just being realistic, the way he physically looks. Mm-hmm. I have a type. I'm tall, so he would have to be taller. He'd have to be taller than me. So that's just visual. If there was a conversation there, he would have to have some conversation, because it's not just about looks. Mm-hmm. It's about what's between your ears. It's about what's in your heart. So if and then I'm empathic, so I'm real sensitive to energy, and I can feel where a person's really coming from, whether they say anything or not. Mm-hmm. But if it's a person that is goal-driven, honest, a conversationalist, and I'm not saying he has to be a college graduate or anything like that. Life can give you wisdom which far exceeds intellect. Mm-hmm. So somebody that has wisdom that we can dialogue back and forth with, that is what would interest me first. Mm-hmm.
And that's, and when I did a quick study, some of the things that I saw that are some of the attributes that women are attracted to first. Yep. The first one is their height. The second is their physique. And then the third is, believe it or not, hair. Whether they have facial hair, whether they have hair on their head. That was the third attribute.
Really?
Those are the top three that showed up.
I can say the first two, but hair I didn't.
Yeah, hair really. Whether they're shaved, have a beard, mustache, all of that.
But that can change at any minute.
Oh, of course. But these were the top three when you initially see somebody and you're attracted to them. So first is their height, then their body type, and then the hair. Right. And so that really, I think that's an interesting dynamic. Of course, in that top five, the other thing was race. Race. Mm-hmm. Let's see, what was the other? It was one more. That was one of the top. Oh, style. That was the other thing. Style, like the style of dress. Mm-hmm. How they presented themselves in terms of the style of dress. Yeah, and then behind that was their level of confidence. Behind that was their body art, so tattoos, piercings, things like that. And it was to see. Those were just kind of the interesting ones that I looked at that were on that list. So I understood. I understood what why they were there. It's just kind of an interesting thing too.
Was the culture or religion on there? Or was that further down the line?
It was more based on race, like skin, African American. If you could identify the race,
their culture. Like the religion and culture, not necessarily from a race perspective.
But this was just based on visual.
Okay,
visual
okay.
Attributes. Yeah, they wouldn't know any of those things when you just saw a person walk up or walk by. And then the other interesting question was, would you pursue them or would you wait for them to pursue you?
It depends on the situation.
If you saw that person that you were attracted to, if they walked by or were walking by, you would let them walk by?
It depends. So say, for instance, let's say, for instance, they were walking by and they didn't see you. You could be let's say you're in a store and you don't see them. And if it's somebody you're really interested in, yeah, I would go outside,
Would you?
I'd really have to be interested. It would have to far exceed the looks. It's a certain energy that I would pick up and be like, okay, I'm not going to let that go by. But other than that, I'm old school. So, when we were coming up, the men pursued the women. And then there's a way that you can approach the person. I mean, you don't have to go and act thirsty. You can say, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were such and such.
Oh,
you look just like.
Oh, that's a good approach.
And then see what happens. If he says something beyond that, great. If he doesn't, okay, well, your mother and father do good work. And keep it moving. Wow.
That sounds like a very interesting introduction. Yeah, that's a very interesting. We have to do one of these shows on the approach. Yeah,
well, you have to get some men. They're experts on that.
Well, not necessarily. Some are for sure. Yeah, but I think there are some women out there that have some great approaches too.
That should be interesting.
Yeah, that would be an interesting conversation to have. All right, and so as we talk about our this topic, which is the relationship awareness, how we can confuse attention with intention. Just an overview. In relationships, attention tends to be temporary and is often a passive act showing interest. Sometimes includes likes on your social media, text messaging, whether it's a visual or an emotional appeal. And that's just meant to happen in the moment. While intention is consistent, knowing, and active commitment-driven focus to build a future together. Attention is about feeling good in the present, and intention is about investing in the long-term commitment, which would include the required action, consistency, and respect. And so, do you want my taking the key differences?
Okay, so key differences between attention and intention include, number one, consistency. Attention is often sporadic, hot and cold, while intention is reliable and stable. Number two is purpose. Attention seeks enjoyment or validation. Intention seeks to build a life, establish safety, and create clarity. Action is attention involves words, flirting, and digital engagement. Intention involves respecting boundaries, supporting goals, and making concrete plans. And number four is longevity. Attention is short-term or fleeting, and intention is long-term and enduring. For the most part, attention can exist without commitment. However, intention translates interest into concrete, respectful, and committed action. It is here where broken trust often occurs, and people mistake temporary attention for long-term intention.
Right. And for our sisters out there, this is one of the spaces where we have a breakdown in communication, the breakdown in the attention that you may be receiving from a man versus the intention that you may be receiving from a man. And so we're going to talk a little bit more as we go a little bit further into this discussion. But I wanted to pause here so that we can really look and unpack these responses. So when you think about consistency, when you let's say if you're just meeting somebody, and this is like the first 24 hours, what drew you to him or him to you? And we just talked a little bit about approach, right? Approach could have been, as Ma'at pointed out, it could have been, I saw you from a distance, you may or may not have seen me, and I'm making my presence known to you. Now, what are some of the ways that you can do that? And so right now, there are lots of socially engaging activities, right? And a lot of people sometimes meet in those socially engaged places. So that would be the first sign. So are you meeting somebody at a nightclub, a cabaret, a party, or some other social event? As you are meeting people at the social events, are they the types of events that the type of person that you want to know or meet or build a relationship with would also frequent? That's a great question to ask yourself. Does that include a shared interest? And so I think that's one of the ways that you connect for attention. But what happens after that? What happens after they made their presence known to you or you made your presence known to them? That level of attention, and where does it go from there? And where does it go consistently from there? It's within that first, and just human nature, right, says that I can pretty much sum up whether I'm attracted to somebody within the first 10 seconds of seeing them, the first 20 seconds of a conversation. And then the last is, how do you then take that interaction or that engagement to a next level that gets you past 10 minutes? And so as you're taking this stroll around how a person is presenting themselves, and then what they say, in terms of a real conversation following that, is a big part of what consistency will build from that point. Are you going to continue in a conversation that gets beyond 10 minutes? Do you sit down and have a conversation for an hour? Does the situation allow for that? Do you then make that, do you exchange information to continue that? Again, that's another level of consistency. So you move from the initial contact or eye contact into some exchange, into a longer exchange. Those are levels of consistency. Now, the further you go with that level of consistency, you're building more data. You're building more information about the person and them about you to see if we move into that second point, which is purpose. So do we then move into our purpose, seeking enjoyment or validation? Do you want to now spend more time with that person based on that initial interaction? And once you go through that initial interaction, then what do we do from there? Again, you would start in with another level of consistency. So that first interaction could be the first date. It could be the first phone call. It could be the first or the next conversation that leads into those things, so into a date. So again, that's another level of consistency that now is consistency with a purpose. And so as you move through that consistency with a purpose, and in that first date, what are some of the attributes that you are seeking that will help to initiate new conversation, initiate a conversation that opens the person up to see a little more deeper than the surface? And how much time do you allow yourself for that deeper level of understanding that person to surface before you take any more deeper steps? And so at that point of consistency, then purpose, and the next is action. Action is then the text messages. How's your day going? I've been thinking about you since we talked. Like that level. And then where does it go from there? Does it start to encourage even more deeper conversation, more interaction, more face-to-face interaction, or does that relationship stay in what's called the digital space, right? Does it stay with text messages or voicemail messages or exchanges, digital exchanges? So it could be on your social media, it could be on your email, it could be sending, encouraging messages or videos, right? After that point of that level of action, where do you go from there? Again, consistency, purpose, the actions that take place, but then how does that relationship or budding relationship move into longevity? And at what point do you make it clear that your attention and your intentions are the same? And so moving beyond attention, just the surface level, to the more deeper expressions of who the person is and what you have in common, and common interests and common life goals, things that are the ways of life and the ways of being. And is there some commonality, some synergy in that space? Do your values line up? And so when you start looking at longevity and actually having conversations that support longevity in an authentic way. And so you after the first, most people have an idea after the first 3 interactions. By the time you get to a date and you get to some deeper conversations, if this is somebody that you really want to pursue something more significant with, and what ways are you going to establish that? And what is your attention towards that person, and what is your intention towards that person? Ma'at, you have some thoughts for that?
No, I think you pretty much covered it.
Okay. And again, so this is also where we lose sight of what we really want, because you could also get distracted by the way somebody looks, because it's a particular look that you're attracted to, maybe the sound of a person's voice, and it may not even be what they're saying. It's just hearing their voice, because some people have that charismatic voice and they're really not saying anything of substance, but because of the attraction to their voice, you just, I could just listen to you all day say absolutely nothing of substance and meaning. Mm-hmm. And just, but it's true. So it's, if you're only giving attention, you can miss that the intention behind what a person is saying has a value too. You can be totally mystified by their appearance, or how handsome or how beautiful, this is for men or women, but how they look to you and how that is such a draw, or how their body is so sexy or so toned or so attractive that you lose sight of who that person really is. And again, and based on what they're saying. So as we start to build on this as a part of our reality and a part of our reflection process, I want you to pause, especially if you're a woman that's out there dating. I want you to pause and think about the last person that you met, or the last 2 or 3 people that you met, the last types of conversations, and where did it lead? And at what point did it move from attention, which we're going to just say is more of an attraction, from attention to intention, where there was something that they said or that they did or that they offered you that made you start to think deeper than what it had initially been from the beginning. And so if you can, if you have some thoughts on that, give us a call. Our call-in number is 810-560-0658. That's 810-560-0658. And so,
I want to add to, I think it's important, if you are looking to get into a relationship, it's really important to be clear on what it is you want in a relationship. There can be somebody that's extremely attractive, that has a mesmerizing voice that you could just pass out when you look in their eyes, and they just give you these, oh my God, goosebumps. But they might have a volatile temper. Mm. They might be self-centered. They might want everything their way. And then those looks are going to fade down to nothing. So be clear on what it is that you want out of a person, because a lot of times people don't get into a relationship with their type, their ideal type. They end up with someone else. So be clear on what it is that you're looking for and what it is that you really, really need. And that also comes into play when you do your inner work. Picking a person based upon your wounds is not going to be a healthy relationship. Period. Point blank, is not going to work. So if you, let's say you're a woman and you got daddy issues, and so you're looking for a man to be a father figure for you, or you are a person who's having financial challenges and you're going to go and get into a relationship with someone that has finances, and that's your reason for getting in the relationship, all of this is a fallacy. It's all a lie. It's not going to last typically. It can, over time, if you've worked on yourself and that other person has worked on themselves. So I'm not saying that it can never work, because it can. But do your inner work first and be very clear on what it is that you really want. And as they say, sometimes you don't know what you want until you know what you don't want. So when you're clear about what you don't want, then you can be clearer about what you do want. And don't look for someone to fill those places within you that you don't want to work on and heal. It's not anybody's job or responsibility to fill your holes or your wounds. So when you get into a relationship, again, be very clear on what it is that you want out of a person, because if the situation was flipped around and someone picked you only because of the way that you look, or only because of the check that you have, or only because they want you to satisfy their emotional needs, that doesn't feel good. So why would you expect that from somebody else?
Ashe, that is very powerful. And on our Lessons for the Journey podcast, so we've been in this space for about 2 years now, and it's been 2 years, right? And so the objective of our podcast has been helping to support the inner work. And so all of the episodes, the previous episodes, have been to help you with various nuances of the inner work. We call that healing work, but it's the inner work, helping you to unpack different areas of your life, of your beliefs, of your struggles, of your journey. And leading up to this episode, leading up to now, I have done these specific areas of self-work and develop myself and start to understand me and my needs and where I want to be complimented, because that's one of the aspects of being in a healthy relationship, is that you actually get to compliment one another. That that unpacking of the things that you needed to work on is a great way that you're now helping that mate that's looking for you. He's looking for the particulars of you that are in that healing process. So you've been doing inner work. It's very difficult to just avoid doing inner work altogether. But what it allows you to do is to prepare yourself to be found. It's like as you're leveling up, as you're taking those spaces that have been tender, it doesn't mean that you arrive at a complete destination of wholeness. The idea is that you are beginning to evolve as you go, and you actually are attracting that person at that level that you are now. For whatever those things that are attracting that person to you, it is because that is where you are in your healing journey. So as you heal, you change. Who you attract changes as you heal. And so as you do that inner work, it's going to attract someone who desires or sees or values that inner work, and or who sees it in themselves. And so your cultivating, your navigating is going to help you to navigate closer to who you want. And we talk about this a lot, that if you don't identify some specifics around who you want as your ideal mate, then you get the random. You're wondering, why does this guy approach me? Why are those random people approaching me? Well, there's some things that are not as specific as you could be. I call it in the job description. And so I have a tool, and we'll talk about this at the end of our podcast too, because if you text me your email, I will send you my tool of the job description for your ideal mate to give you some things to think about, some attributes to think about, and how you align and match those attributes. You will attract that also which you practice. And so if you're practicing wholeness and healing, then you can actually attract a whole man in the same way, because that is the energy that you're sending. That is the energy that you're building. And that is what the universe is going to start pulling for you. And so if there are areas, and listen very closely, because I know this is a little tender too, when we talk about attention, when there are people who have been in your journey in your life and they're sharing some things about you, it's a great time to reflect on that and include that as you are building yourself up, building and being ready and prepared for that next relationship. Your past relationship is helping to build you for your future ones. And it's from a healed perspective, not from a pain-based perspective, because pain is just the indicator of what you should be looking at. What are some of the symptoms? What are some of the consequences? What are some of the opportunities that you have based on where you were in a past relationship? What does it say about you? What does it say about your choices and decisions? So that as you start to develop that and reflect on that and heal those spaces, that now you are healed in that space and you can attract someone at that next level of where you are. So that engagement piece and that inner work is really important. And so we're going to move into our second part, which is really talking about the psychological differences between attention and intention. And so this first one, I think is really interesting because I asked a question following this. Consistency versus convenience. Consistency versus convenience. Attention often comes with a burst or when convenient. So sometimes, say that this is the person you meet at a social gathering. And maybe it starts off with just eye-to-eye contact, and then because of the attraction, and then what happens next? What happens next with the attention? Now you've gotten my attention, I've gotten yours. What happens next? And so maybe also, because we're looking at convenience, was it a convenient time or place or space to meet up? And then you can ask yourself this question: what can you do for me now? So can we exchange phone numbers? Was I like dancing, and clearly you're showing that you're not a dancer or a good dancer. Is that where we go from here? Do I continue this pursuit? Because this is the limited data that I've collected from our interaction so far. Do we pursue from here? Do we allow it to phase out? What do we do next? And so that's the next question. What can you do for me? Or what can I do for you? And so intention requires consistent, dependable action, even when it's inconvenient. Even when it's inconvenient. So maybe you're in school, right? And you're between school and work, and you don't have a lot of time for socialization. Is that a good time for you to start to meet someone new? Is it a time to start to cultivate? Can you actually provide and make time for that person to date or to get to know each other better? Is it the attention of the person that is just passing time? Is it the intention of the person where there has some common ground? There are some things that make me want to spend more time with you. Any thoughts on that, Ma'at? The consistency versus convenience. Yeah, sometimes it's convenient to have somebody that is available to you when you want them to be.
Yeah, and that, I guess that depends on your lifestyle and what you have going on in your life. If you are single, you probably have time, and then you might not because you're grinding. If you have children, if you're a single parent, that is going to affect your availability. It's going to affect your attention as well, because if you're, depending on the age of the children, if they're younger, then that's less attention that you're going to be able to give a person unless you have somebody to fill in and watch your children for you. If they're older, then you'll have more time because they'll be able to manage themselves. If you are, let's say you're driven, like you're trying to start your own business, or like you say you're in school and so your time is limited, or let's say you're caring for a parent. And if you're a caregiver, your time is exceptionally limited, but you want to be in a relationship as well. So trying to create that healthy balance can be difficult sometimes. But if the two people come to an agreement when they understand what your situation is, if they have the same interest in you that you have in them and the same intention for you that you have for them, then you will accommodate each other regardless as to what that looks like on your end or on their end.
Awesome. You want to take number 2?
Okay, so number 2 is momentary versus future focused. Attention focuses on enjoyment and validation in the present. Examples include one-night stand, first date sex, benefits upfront, and or one-time events. Intention is about building a foundation for the future. Examples are planning for meaningful intimacy, visioning with a plan beyond today or the immediate future. Mm-hmm. So that one, that's something that's this is not really first time you meet people, because people do have one night stands and
absolutely
and
permanent results from a one night stand.
That part that ends up with a whole nother being. Mm-hmm. So, like we said before, whatever your desires are for relationships is when all of this comes into play. You could just be single, but maybe you just got out of a relationship, or it's toxic, or you're divorced and you don't want to have a permanent relationship. You just want to get your, what they call it?
Your groove on?
That. Yeah. That was a nice way to say it.
Right. Hey, Stella did. She got hers back, right?
Yeah, you're not trying to be married. You're not ready for a relationship. You're open to it, but you're not really ready. Maybe you've raised your children and now you're retired and you have time to spend money and travel, and you're not trying to get locked down or anything. And it could be the exact opposite. You could have children and you want a relationship because you want to share your life and that part of your life with another person, and you want to give a bonus parent to your children. You could be retired, and a lot of times when people retire, and if they're divorced or widowed or have been single, they want somebody to spend their last days with. So it just depends on where you are in your life and what you want in your life and what your intention for your life is.
And I mean, that's an ongoing question. It's an ongoing question. Even sometimes when you're in a relationship, it still is a question. Do I want to put in the work to maintain this? Are we going in a healthy direction? Those are still questions that may come up, but you're already in a commitment. So what does commitment really look like? And I think that's a big question that people who are in the dating world really need to ask themselves. It was a question that when I was dating that I would ask myself too. Really, what is it that I want in terms of relationship, and how much time am I willing to invest in a relationship or in getting to know someone? And, there are a lot of women who also feel like, I don't want to keep starting over. I don't want to keep, starting a relationship and breaking up, or it not work out and then have to build up again to start another relationship and go through the same thing over and over again. But so this conversation is really designed to help you with a tool up front. This is an upfront tool. This is for the time that you for you to decide whether you even want to be in a relationship, timing wise, or, convenience wise, but also that as you are meeting people, that you can be clear about what's attention, because that attention is the way it starts, but is it the way that it's going to endure throughout the time that or past a certain threshold? Establishing kind of what that threshold looks like is going to be important, but that's a conversation that you have with yourself, but also with the person who is in this conversation. You can ask up front, are you interested in moving forward? Are you interested in a long-term relationship? Are you interested in being married? And then the signs and the cues that a person gives you will tell you whether that's true or not, or whether that's true or not with you. And so that gives you an opportunity to release yourself from that connection, especially now it gets a little more difficult when you get more intimate with the person before you get some of these questions asked and answered, because sometimes the person is in the attention stage, and we were looking at just the ones that are focused on the moment. Are you talking to someone? Are you connecting with someone who's just in the moment? And in the moment, they want this type of connection with you. And are you okay with that? And can you step back and throw your hands up and say, okay, it is what it is? Or you're going to try to make something out of that because there was some initial chemistry. These are real conversations that you need to have and decide for yourself so that you don't get pulled into a relationship or get pulled into a situation that forces you to have to make certain decisions. All right. And so the next area is validation versus action. Attention keeps you attached to a person who may not choose you long term. Examples include physical only conversations, surface compliments, immediate gratifications based on activities and their actions. So that's all about the now. I just want to stay in the now. If you're with a person and they only want to stay in the now, that's giving you a clue or a cue that they may not be interested in moving further or moving into a commitment. So give attention to that. Ask. Always start off with asking, because sometimes people tell you who they are, and trust them when they say that. Even though you may say or think something different, trust them when they say, I'm not looking for a committed relationship, but I'm acting as if we're in a committed relationship. Trust the person when they say that to you. The next part is intention creates clarity and commitment and commits to concrete actions. If you are unable to get somebody to make concrete plans or stay consistent, or they keep changing the date or changing the plan or not showing up, these are really important signs. So respecting boundaries, supporting goals, navigating life together, and are they having the we-based conversations? Are all their conversations about me and I or my, or are they starting to have conversations with you that include we? So pay attention to that language. And also people, if you have family or you have children or they do, are they having conversations that include family-based discussions? And then are they having deeper than surface conversations based on values and your alignment? If they're not having those conversations, these are cues and clues as to whether someone is looking at you in the way of a future connection or a future commitment. If they're not having those types of conversations that are building conversations, then they may not be looking at either you or at this time as those kind of relationship commitments. But again, knowing this is part of the process so that you don't set yourself up for those situations where, again, you feel like you're either doing all the work in the relationship or this relationship is not really working. So give attention to that. Do you mind taking the last one?
Mm-hmm. Emotional highs versus true security. Attention provides a hit of validation, such as flattery or gifts. Examples can include flattery, surface gifts, decision making based on one-sided needs. Intention provides emotional safety and security through reliability. Examples include confusing the... Oh, there's no examples on it.
Right.
Okay. So
that emotional security, people who are asking you, are you comfortable with this? Am I speaking your language? Do you feel safe with me? Like, people who are really asking, not just asking, but actually showing the action that supports that is really important to understanding if this is short term, if this is long term. And then your honest answers are going to be important. You be honest with yourself first. As you are having this conversation, I want to be this. I want to be is not that the same as I am. I want to be open to, a relationship of marriage. But honestly, I'm not, because I'm still wounded. Honestly, I'm not because of whatever my reasons are. But be mindful that to be honest with yourself first, because you want something is one thing, but that you are something is another. And so it can come across as not being truthful on your part too, which a man or your mate could pick up on too. You're not even honest with yourself. How are you being honest with me? Can you be honest with yourself? And this is something that you can do in private and you can do authentically to understand where you really are. And then if you are not there, but you have a desire to get there, doing the inner work to actually get there, because you can get there. When you don't have this inner dialogue, it can become confusing. This is where trust is often broken between men and between women, because women are not telling their truth either. And so as you understand and know your truth and you are presenting yourself in your truth, then that's another opportunity for you to grow and another opportunity for this authentic relationship to build. And you can do that with intention. That is building with intention. Attention is I want to be. Intention is I am, and therefore I'm doing these types of things. So that's an important distinction to make. So confusing the two often leads to heartbreak, as one can enjoy attention from a partner without that person having the intention to build a lasting and committed relationship. And there are lots of women who have been in this space where they want to be in a committed relationship, but they have a lot of other activities going on in their lives with other people. And so and I like to have this conversation too with women to ask them the question, are you piecing together a man? Because you like this guy's sense of humor. This guy takes you out to the types of places that you like to go. This guy is your intimate partner. This guy is your intellectual stimulation. This guy is your go-to person. Like, women, we have a tendency to pull all of those pieces together, often because we don't see them in one person. But you may not see them in one person if you are relying on other people to fulfill those things too. You don't really give yourself an opportunity or the person an opportunity to show those other dynamics in themselves because you already have those spaces filled. So if they're already being taken care of, what's the point, right? And then how do you start to pull yourself back? Because now it could be a sensed as a broken trust, because you've given somebody the idea that you're with them and you only want to be with them, or you're with them for whatever the reasons, but not for long term. So women have to also reassess that this is sometimes the way that we think, the way that we act. And then when it happens to us, we act as if somebody has broken the law. And part of something to be aware of is our karma around our past actions. Are we living out that karma? Have we been the other woman in somebody else's relationship, and now you find yourself being the other woman, and you're screaming at the top of your lungs about the broken trust, but you had already set that course in motion. Be mindful of those things. And again, this is about your inner truth and dialogue and honesty and your inner healing. To be able to reconcile those things in those spaces in you where you have made some choices and some decisions, even if it's in your past, not your present, that there is still a reckoning that takes place. And it's just the course that we put in action, in motion by our choices and our decisions. But it's also a tool to help you to understand you better, to be more forgiving, to offer grace to others. So it's also another opportunity for you to build and grow with intention, right? Not just attention, not just short term, but long term, that these things affect you long term. And we're trying to build, we are building broken trust so that we can build trust in our relationship. So I think it's really important that that's a part of this dynamic as we move forward and we look at the relationship awareness, and we look at how we, and the episodes to come are going to help navigate men to navigate our understanding and continue to do our inner work. That's really important. Any thoughts for you, Ma'at, as we look forward to our next conversation?
I think it's important. We keep talking about doing the inner work, and that is the most important thing you can do, because all of your relationships will be founded in your inner work or lack thereof. You draw to you what you are, positive and negative. And so if you want somebody that's kind and loving, then you be kind and loving. If you want somebody that's honest, then you be honest. If you want somebody that's dependable, then you be dependable. So we draw to us our reflections, whether we like it or not. So the things that we like in a person is a reflection of us, and the things that we don't like in a person is a reflection of us. So the things that you don't like in a person, you're doing it. You just don't see where you're doing it so that you can fix it within you. When you fix it within you, it is fixed without. So that's really important, and not being deceptive. Women, for some reason, have this thing where we're fixers, and you see a man that he clearly is not ready for the relationship that you want. His lifestyle, maybe he's got, 2, 3, 4, 5 baby mamas. Or he doesn't want a child and you want one. And you just think, well, if you just give him what he wants and love him enough or whatever, that he's going to have a child. If that happens, but the man told you he did not want children, and if he does not respond in the way that you want, is that his fault or is that yours? You pressed him to do something that he did not want to do, and that goes both ways. So when a person tells you something, pay attention, respect what they say, and if that's not in alignment with what you are, who you are, and where you want to go, then maybe that's not the relationship for you, or it's just not time. So, and I'm real, when you get older in life, your tolerance gets shorter, and you are operating more out of wisdom. So when a person tells you something, because I remember I was talking to this guy one time, and he never had children, and he wanted children. I was done. I had my children. I'm not having any more. I wouldn't care what. Listen, I wouldn't care what it was. They didn't print enough money to make me have another child. There's nothing you could do materially. There's nothing you could do emotionally. I'm not having any, point blank. That's it. So that was the end of that relationship, but we're great friends. But instead of me saying, let's say I tried to force the situation because I liked everything about him to be in a relationship, but I know that he wants children. But I also know that I don't want to give him any. Now, if I had pursued it thinking he'll change his mind, is that fair to him? So being honest with yourself and being completely honest with the other person is really important, because that sets the foundation for your future, whatever that's going to look like.
Yes. And just agreeing for the moment to get whatever need you have to have met in that moment, whatever that might be, whatever that need might be. Sometimes it's physical. You may be willing to bend your own rules or move the lines of your boundaries that you had previously set for that moment. Really give some inner thought to that. What are your boundaries? And those are thoughts and inner conversations that you need to have beforehand. And you also need to have with the potential mate. If you are not a sex on the first date, if you're not a sex on the fifth date type of person, you should declare that up front. Make that clear so that your boundaries won't be stretched, and and then stay consistent. So don't put yourself or him in situations or in position to be compromised. We have a tendency to do that too. If you're not having sex, you should not be laying across anybody's bed. You should not be sitting on anybody's lap. You should not be allowing, petting and, affectionate moments to get out of hand, because there are blurred lines at a time of heated passion. And then your response could, very well be that that's not what I wanted and I said it, but I went through with it anyway. Or they felt that they could convince you otherwise by going forward. And so be mindful about putting yourselves in compromising positions when you have an inner dialogue that's telling you something different. So don't let your inner dialogue and your outer behavior be the difference in the circumstance. They should be consistent, unless you want something different to happen. And so that's a big mindset shift, but that is about, again, the difference in attention. So you're getting the attention, but your intention is for something long-term. And you know that often when your intention is immediate, like sex on the first date, that it's a potential for that person to not even have additional conversation, or for the expectation that the relationship is only a sex-only relationship and you wanted a committed relationship. So playing into that dynamic without setting boundaries, without having conversation, and without understanding your inner dialogue is going to be helpful to you in this process. So this is a conversation around relationship awareness and how to navigate men in the same way that you are navigating your inner dialogue, how to make them consistent. And so I am hopeful that the tools that we shared with you today are going to be helpful to you as we continue this journey into relationship awareness and also navigating men. And so I'm going to ask my co-host here to share how she can be connected.
Okay, you can email me at relationshipfirstaid@yahoo. The website is relationshipfirstaid.com. Facebook, Relationship First Aid. If you're on Facebook as well, you can do my personal page, DM me at Ma'at Seba. And on Instagram, Relationship First Aid.
Thank you. And you can also talk to Ma'at about not just her Me, Myself, and I cards, and her Ma'at memo cards, but there are lots of other products that you can get if you are starting this spiritual journey and you need some of the tools. So you can also drop Ma'at a message about that, and you'll see those come up on our episodes coming up, because you're going to need some of these tools as we take this journey. I am Dr. Hetheru. You can reach me at yourinspiredjourney.com. You can reach me by phone at 313-759-7855. And I also want to share with you, if we can pull up the book club, every third Wednesday of the month, we have a book club for women. And here we are. This month, we're featuring my book called Cardinal in Red Dress, My Journey Through the Valley of Death. My books are easy read. It's a wash and dry cycle. So if you get your book today, you can be prepared for our book club next Wednesday, March the 18th at 6:30 p.m. It helps if you get there at 6, and then we can start this journey and continue, because this is about a fellowship of women, and we use the topics to help us expand and grow and build on our relationship together as women, and also to encourage you to write your story. If you need support writing that story, it's part of what I offer in my coaching services. and workshops that I offer as well. So connect with me again at 313-759-7855. We are looking forward to, we thank our engineer here today, Lexi, for taking good care of us. Hopefully she will have a chance to spend some other time with us as we keep growing. But I want you to understand that today the conversation is around relationship awareness. We want you to have the best possible opportunity to connect with your mate. And if you text me at my phone number, I will send you a tool that is how to identify my ideal mate using my job description tool. So that number is 313-759-7855. Text me your email and your name, and I will send you that tool. All right, if you're ready, this is the season. So we look forward to talking to you and connecting in our next exciting episode of Lessons for the Journey. From here forward, stay clear.